You believe you are seeing the world as it is, that what you experience, the people, the sounds, the memories, arrive fully formed and accurate. But your brain is always behind. Light takes time to reach your eyes. Sound takes time to reach your ears. Neural signals take time to travel. So your mind does something remarkable. It predicts. Before you see, your brain guesses. Before you hear, it fills in the gaps. What you experience as reality is not a recording of the world. It is a simulation, built from expectation, memory, and pattern. Most of the time, this works. But when prediction fails, the cracks begin to show. Memories that never happened. Faces that don't exist. This is not imagination. This is not mental illness. This is how the human brain operates when accuracy matters less than survival. Tonight, we're not exploring what the mind can do. We're examining what it's already doing without you noticing. You experience the world as immediate, as if sight, sound, and touch arrive the moment they happen. They don't. Light takes time to reach your eyes. Sound takes time to travel through air. Neural signals take time to move through your nervous system. By the time information reaches your brain, it is already outdated. Yet you never notice the delay. That is because your brain does not wait. Instead, it predicts. At any given moment, your brain is generating a model of what it expects to happen next. This is not a flaw. It is a survival mechanism. If your ancestors had waited for perfect information before reacting, they would not have survived. The result is something unsettling. You are not seeing the present. You are seeing the future your brain expects. Scientists estimate that human perception lags reality by about 1/10 of a second. To compensate, the brain continuously runs predictions ahead of incoming data. This is why the world feels stable. When you watch a moving object, your brain predicts where it will be next and adjusts perception accordingly. But certainty does not mean accuracy. This predictive system can be exposed. In laboratory experiments, researchers introduce slight delays. When this happens, perception breaks. Objects appear to jump. Motion feels wrong. Time seems distorted. Your brain scrambles to correct the error. This is why eyewitness testimony is unreliable. The brain does not replay events like video footage. It reconstructs them based on prediction. Reality is not passively received. It is actively constructed. And once you understand that, a disturbing realization follows. If your perception depends on prediction, then when prediction fails, reality itself can fracture. The brain does not ask whether something is real. It asks whether it fits the model. If perception is prediction, then memory is reconstruction. Most people believe memories are stored like files, saved once, retrieved later, unchanged. They aren't. Every time you remember something, your brain rebuilds it from fragments. Sensations, emotions, assumptions, context. And when pieces are missing, the brain fills them in. This process is called confabulation. It is not lying. It is not imagination. It is the brain doing what it always does, creating a coherent story from incomplete information. Confabulation occurs in people with brain injuries, but also in healthy minds. You have experienced it. You remember conversations that never happened, details that were never said, expressions that were never seen. In experiments, psychologists have implanted entirely fictional memories into participants, memories of events that never occurred. Participants didn't just accept these memories. They defended them. The more vividly a memory is imagined, the more real it feels. This is why memory is unreliable under stress. During traumatic events, the brain prioritizes survival over recording. Details are skipped. Timelines blur. Later, the brain fills those gaps using logic and expectation. Memory is not playback. It is storytelling, and stories evolve. In legal cases, eyewitness testimony is one of the least reliable forms of evidence, yet one of the most convincing. Jurors trust confidence. But confidence is a product of reconstruction, not truth. The brain is not concerned with what happened. It is concerned with what fits. The loop closes. Prediction creates perception. Perception becomes memory. Memory reshapes prediction, and the brain reinforces itself over time. Your past is not fixed. It is continuously rewritten to support the present. False memories don't fade. They stabilize. Because every time you remember something, you change it. And in the next chapter, we'll examine what happens when this rewriting never stops. If fabricated memories are false stories created once, then what comes next is far more unsettling. Memory changes every time you touch it. In reality, recalling a memory destabilizes it. When a memory is accessed, it briefly becomes fragile again. Neural connections loosen. Before the memory is stored again, it is rewritten. This process is called memory reconsolidation. It means your brain does not preserve memories. It edits them. Every time you remember an event, the memory is updated with new information, your current emotions, your beliefs, your expectations. The memory you store afterward is not the original. It is a revised version. This is why childhood memories often feel vivid but inconsistent. You are not remembering the past. You are remembering the last version of the past. This explains why two people can drift further apart over time. Their memories evolve independently. Each recall introduces small changes. Each change compounds. The story drifts. Edited memories feel smoother, cleaner, more coherent, and the brain mistakes coherence for truth. This is why repetition strengthens belief. This is how personal myths form. Stories about who you are. These stories guide decisions, shape relationships, and define identity. Even external evidence struggles to override this process. Photographs can feel wrong. If evidence conflicts with memory, the brain often protects the memory. This is why arguments about the past rarely resolve. Each person defends a version that feels internally true, because it is. To them, the loop tightens. Prediction alters perception. Perception becomes memory. Memory is edited. Reality drifts away from what actually occurred. And if the brain can edit events, what happens when this process starts inventing people themselves? Faces that feel familiar. In the next chapter, we'll examine how the brain creates identities and why it does so without your awareness. When you dream, faces appear. They speak. They react. They feel familiar. But when you wake up, you cannot place them. That is because the people you see in dreams are not real individuals. They are constructions. The brain cannot invent a face from nothing. Instead, it assembles faces from fragments, a jawline from a stranger, eyes from someone you glimpsed briefly. The result is a person who feels known but has never existed. Your brain generates entire identities without asking for permission. This happens because the brain is optimized for recognition, not accuracy. It evolved to detect other humans quickly, under poor conditions, in the dark, at a distance, in motion. The cost of missing a face was once far greater than the cost of seeing one that wasn't there. So the brain cheats. In dreams, the control systems that verify reality are relaxed. Prediction runs unchecked. Faces emerge because the brain expects them. And expectation becomes form. What makes this unsettling is how complete these constructions are. Dream faces are not blurred or unfinished. They have expressions, emotions, personalities. They respond in ways that feel intentional. Yet none of this is coming from the outside world. It is all generated internally. This reveals something important. The brain does not just recognize faces. It creates them, and it does so constantly, even while awake. In everyday life, the brain is bombarded with incomplete visual data, shadows, reflections, movement at the edge of vision. When information is missing, the brain fills it in. Most of the time, this works. But sometimes, the system overshoots. You glance at a crowd and think you recognize someone, only to realize you were wrong. You lock eyes with a stranger who feels familiar, but isn't. These are not mistakes. They are side effects. Once the brain can generate convincing people internally, it becomes capable of projecting identity onto the external world. The boundary between recognition and hallucination becomes thin. In the next chapter, we'll examine how this system spills into waking perception. You are not imagining it. When you see faces in clouds, shadows, walls, or darkness, something real is happening inside your brain. This phenomenon is called pareidolia. It is the brain's tendency to detect familiar patterns, especially faces, in random or ambiguous input. And it is not a glitch. It is one of the oldest survival systems. Specialized neural regions activate faster for faces than for reading or reasoning. Faces matter. For early humans, recognizing another human quickly meant survival. Missing a face could mean missing a threat. Seeing one where none existed was a small price to pay, so the brain evolved to err on the side of detection. If the pattern might be a face, the brain treats it as one. This is why you see faces in tree bark, in rock formations, in electrical outlets. Your brain is not asking, is this real? It is asking, could this matter? And when information is incomplete, prediction fills the gap. This is the same system that creates dream faces, the same system that edits memories, the same system that predicts reality. It all converges here. Once a face is detected, attention locks onto it. The brain commits. The mind treats faces as intentional agents, something that can watch, judge, or act. This explains why pareidolia feels unsettling. The same mechanism explains why people see figures during sleep paralysis, why haunted spaces feel occupied. The brain is not malfunctioning. It is operating without sufficient data. Faces appear because the brain would rather hallucinate a presence than risk missing one. Perception, memory, identity, and recognition are not separate systems. They are layers of the same predictive engine. You cannot turn this system off. It is always running. You are never experiencing the world directly. You are experiencing the brain's best guess. If the mind can fabricate memories, edit the past, invent faces, and project intention onto noise, then the line between reality and perception is thinner than we want to believe. And in the final moments, we're left with a question that has no simple answer. If your brain is constantly lying, efficiently, how much of what you trust was ever truly there? The human brain was never designed to show you the truth. It was designed to keep you alive. So it predicts instead of waits. It edits instead of records. It fills gaps instead of admitting uncertainty. Most of the time, this works. Reality feels smooth. Memories feel solid. Faces feel familiar. Voices feel real. But beneath that stability is a system constantly guessing, adjusting, correcting itself after the fact. This does not mean your mind is broken. It means it is efficient. The same mechanisms that create hallucinations also allow you to navigate the world. The same systems that invent memories also give you identity. The brain lies not to deceive you, but to protect you from delay, doubt, and chaos. And the most unsettling truth is this: you will never experience the world as it truly is, only as your brain believes it should be. Quietly, continuously, without asking. This is not a malfunction. This is the human mind. Subscribe to Dark Science Files.